Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast, where we aim to inspire and motivate people to never give up on themselves or their dreams. We will chat with highly successful people from all walks of life and discuss what motivates and drives them to successfully attack life head on and never give up.
Welcome to episode number 7 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and the theme of the day is passion. Our quote of the day comes to us from Donovan Bailey. Follow your passion, be prepared to work hard and sacrifice, and above all, don't let anyone limit your dreams. I'm excited to welcome today's guest to our show. She's quite an impressive woman with incredible passion and belief for what she does. I think you will really enjoy what she has to say. With that, I would like to introduce Andrea Waltz. Andrea, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
Thank you for having me, Christopher. It's great to be here.
It's awesome to have you. So, with all the negativity in today's media, the foundation of our podcast is to motivate and inspire people to never give up. I wanted to ask you if you could share a personal story with us about perseverance, or possibly a challenging time that tested you, but you kept on going and never quit.
Yeah, well, there have been many of those occasions throughout my entrepreneurial life over the last 19 years, that's for sure. But one of the most disheartening things that happened actually has to do with our book, Go for No. And we had self-published it. We had done not very well with it in the beginning, and then it kind of started to get a little bit of traction. We decided that we would send it to an agent. We ended up getting an agent in New York who shopped it around and had gotten us in with a really big publisher. I won't give away their name, but just think about the really, really big giant one out there. And they had said yes to our book, and it looked like it was going to be published, and we were sitting around at the fax machine. This was around 2003, waiting for our offer from this big publisher so that Go for No could just go worldwide and explode. We were very excited, and nothing came. So finally, by the end of the day, we called our agent. We said, what happened? We never heard from them, never got the offer. And he said they pulled the plug at the very last minute and decided that Go for No was just not a title that would sell. You guys don't have a big enough platform. Not enough people know who you are. And it probably won't sell more than 5,000 copies, which is actually that was their estimate, and that would be a good number as far as they were concerned. They didn't even think that it would reach that. So in that moment, we had this deflating sense come over us, and we said, all right, well, that's really bad news, but we think that Go for No is worthwhile, and so we're just going to keep on going with it. And we did. And since that time, we now estimate we're getting close to selling somewhere in the neighborhood of 400,000 copies. So we didn't let that no from them deter us.
Well, that's quite a story, from potentially 5,000 books, if that, to over $400,000. Quite a difference in regards to what they anticipated. In regards to speaking about Go for No, you also wrote another book, $1 Million Year, and I just wanted to touch on page 35 of the book, where you discuss 3 steps for success. Number 1, decide what you want. Number 2, determine the price you have to pay, and number 3, pay it. I was wondering if you could expand on that a little bit.
Absolutely. We had heard that advice and read that advice from Orrin Woodward, who's a great thought leader. Actually, he speaks on leadership, writes on leadership. And to us, we thought that was the most simple way to boil down success and to boil down what it is that you want, whatever goal it is. There's nothing that doesn't have a price to be paid, whether it's time. Of course, it usually is time, money, effort, all of those things, all of the things that you have to do in order to achieve your goal. And it's very simple. You just have to figure out what it is. What is the price that you have to pay? What is the time and effort that you're going to have to invest? And then just start digging in and pay the price, because the price is going to get paid one way or the other, or you're not going to achieve your goal. Pay it, and then success will follow. So we put that in the book because we just thought it was the simplest way to show somebody how to be successful.
No, it is very simple. And I think a lot of things in life, especially with business, it's the little things that are so simple that I think people sometimes overlook. But I really appreciate you sharing that quick tidbit. Back to the 5,000 potential sales, if that, to the $400,000 number. What kept you going in regards to, because most people at that point would probably have quit or tried another avenue. Just curious as what kept you going, because again, you've well surpassed that number in tenfold. So I was just curious as what kept you motivated to keep on going.
Well, and it always is a combination of factors. And I guess what kept us most motivated is the passion for the message, the passion for what we're trying to teach. And Go for No is a book that teaches people how to overcome the fear of the word no, fear of failure, fear of rejection. The whole mission behind it is to teach people a new mindset. And so I so believed in that it was easy to keep going. And that is one of the hallmarks, I think, of any endeavor, is that you have to have that belief in what you're doing. Otherwise, it is really easy to cave and to give up. And I've had projects in the past where we've started them and I wasn't as enthusiastic. I didn't really have the passion. Maybe there was something about the project that I thought that, hey, I'm skilled in this. It's worthwhile, but maybe the full passion wasn't there. And then if I didn't get results right away, I just kind of said, you know what, I'm on the wrong path. This is just not for me because I'm not passionate enough and the results aren't happening fast enough. And so I just abandoned ship. And I think so you really have to be willing to be honest and look at, if you're still passionate about something and you believe in it enough, then it's worthwhile and you can survive those dips, you can survive those valleys. But if you're not, then that's where you have to make the tough decision and just say, all right, I need to be on a path and find something to where I am passionate about it, because you are going to have those periods of doubt and those periods of failure and rejection, and you have to be able to push through. So I would say, Christopher, to answer your question, it really was my passion and belief in the message that we were sharing and just my love of it.
No, I think passion and belief are very important, and obviously you're passionate about it and it's done well. A lot of our listeners are into personal development. I was curious if you have a favorite book or perhaps something that you've read recently you'd like to share with our audience.
Yeah, one of my absolute favorite books, and I talk about this often, and it's kind of a great Go for No, almost companion. It is called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the 4 agreements are the two that really go so hand in hand perfectly with Go for No are don't take things personally. That's one of the 4 agreements. And don't make assumptions. And in the book, the author talks about how it's so easy to take things personally, but really it's about stepping in other people's shoes, understanding their, he calls it a dream almost. Not that people are dreaming and they're just zombies sleepwalking, but that we're all kind of in our own little world, right? We have our own beliefs and experiences and everything that we've come into contact with. And it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just is what it is. And when you can step into and see that other people are in their own dream and you're in your own dream, it kind of starts making sense where you, instead of fearing and hating and not wanting to take things personally, you just almost get to a place of acceptance. And so that book is so great for learning how to not take things personally, because when it comes to rejection, that is so huge. And then the other piece of it, which is not to make assumptions, is also so key, because we tend to not communicate with people in an honest, open manner. We just make assumptions about what we think they know, what we think they're going to do, and that gets us in a lot of trouble. So it's really about never making assumptions about anything and always communicating well.
That sounds like a very interesting book. I actually have never heard of that book. I took it down. I will have to definitely check that out. One of the areas we often discuss with our guests is getting out of our comfort zone. And I was curious if you could attribute any of your success to something specific that you have done out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, the biggest thing I have done out of my comfort zone has been to start speaking professionally, meaning speaking and getting paid for it. And when I was in, I guess it was probably the 7th grade, I did a presentation on the dangers of smoking that went so badly after I sat down and was so humiliated in front of my classmates. I vowed to myself that under no circumstances would I ever speak in public ever again, that I would literally do everything within my power not to have to give an oral presentation. And I did. I worked very hard at that through the rest of junior high school and high school, never having to stand up in front of a group. I hated it. I was terrified. I finally begrudgingly took a speech class in college and I did okay, but still I just hated it. So fast forward, Richard and I launched our speaking and training company. He's the speaker and trainer of the two of us, and I'm the marketer. I did all of the sales and marketing. When we wrote Go for No and we started to share Go for No and started to teach it, again, he was really the person at the forefront. But I became, as I said, I was so passionate about it. I love the message. The more passionate I got, the more I really felt comfortable sharing it. And so that's what I did. I started to share the message. And then eventually Richard turned to me and he said, you need to speak with me on stage. We need to do this together as a team. He said, I don't like traveling alone. And we would be great together. And a lot of our audiences, some of them are 70-80% female. So it makes sense for you to be involved. And so I just kind of dug in. I loved the message, but still had this terrible fear of speaking in front of groups. So I did lots of free presentations. I practiced. And then my very first get on stage in front of a big group was in front of 2,000 women at a big sales convention. And I was scared, but I was practiced and I knew that I could pull it off, and I did. But that has been the thing that has been the biggest change, where I really went from being someone who literally would do anything not to speak to somebody who loves it. Again, part of it was pushing myself to do it, and also because I cared about the message and was passionate about it. I imagine that if you told me I was going to speak on something that I have no interest in and know nothing about, I would probably freak out, but that is definitely the biggest outside my comfort zone thing that I've done.
That's very, very interesting in regards to the fact that your first presentation or public speech was in front of over 2,000 people. I forget the statistic offhand, but I believe they say that public speaking is one of the largest fears out there in regards to human population, even bigger than fear of heights and spiders and things like that. So I know a lot of people that have gone on to do some great things, and maybe they had that same fear, but they started in something maybe as simple as a Toastmasters or not. But definitely your passion comes out in everything you do, and it's exciting and inspiring to hear that. And I was curious if there's anything that you're working on or launching that you'd like to share with our listeners.
Well, we just launched a brand new book, and this had been something that we had talked about for years, actually. It's called Go for No for Network Marketing. And we have people in all different businesses, all different industries and professions who have read Go for No. In fact, people who fundraise, for example, who have to ask for donations and ask for money. It's been popular for fundraisers. It's popular for anybody in any kind of sales position, but specifically with network marketing, because there's a lot of rejection out there, and talk about having to get outside your comfort zone, that's involved. And so finally, we've partnered with an expert, a guy named Ray Higdon, who's a network marketing speaker and trainer, partnered with him and took kind of our best of the best Go for No concepts, philosophies, strategies, and molded this new book. And we got 17 Go for No stories from people who are successful in network marketing who heard no a lot and faced a lot of rejection and how they overcame it, which was really fun, I have to say, is just hearing go for no stories from people was one of the funnest things about putting that book together. And it's made me think that there may be a future for other go for no versions, because I think whether you're in entertainment or financial insurance sales or something like that, hearing people's stories who are in your profession, who do what you do, is really motivating. It really just helps you see, I'm not alone. These people go through it. I can go through it too.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was just about to ask, that was going to be my next question is, have you thought of a series in regards to go for no for entrepreneurs or salespeople? I think it's got such a overpowering concept in regards to the basis of it is obviously somewhat similar in all different fields and endeavors, but it's those stories and it's those, I guess, the tie-ins per se in regards to someone who's in sales or, like you said, in life insurance sales. So other people would look at it and say, okay, well, let me read this book. And again, you preempted my question, but I think it's something that obviously has a lot of legs in regards to something that you could build into an entire series.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. And so far, the feedback has been great. So yeah, it's one of these things that could be a very, very possible future project.
No, well, please keep me in the loop in regards to those. Here's a question outside of the box. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, what a question. I think it would probably be some kind of historical figure, maybe Abraham Lincoln, or it's funny, I know I don't even get one person. So
you can add two. You can add two or three.
I was going to say definitely historical figures, but not ancient history, probably not Shakespeare or someone like that. But I think it would be fascinating to talk to Abraham Lincoln. I think it would be fascinating to sit down with Einstein and someone who's much, much more intelligent than me and just pick their brain and almost to see, for me, not so much everything that they know, but just what they experienced and what life was like at that time. I'm so curious about the early 1900s and even the late 1800s as well. Lincoln's time, obviously, in the 1800s. I think it would just be fascinating.
No, I think having lunch with Lincoln would be an unbelievable lunch, and I'm sure that many people would love to pick his brain and just going through what he did. I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds of questions. Before we let you go, I wanted to ask you if you had any parting words for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess, Christopher, from a go for no standpoint, the parting words I would have for the listeners and the advice I always like to give is don't forget to ask. We live in a world and a society sometimes where we're taught and trained that yes is the only thing that we're going after, and no we have to remind people that no is okay. That every yes takes the courage to get a no when you're going for a yes. So ask. It doesn't matter. Practice your asking muscle. Get out there and have the courage to do that, and then it becomes easier in your business as well. So if you could just do that, those are my parting words of advice.
I think that's great advice. And I was talking to somebody last week, and it was funny is if you don't ask somebody, whether it's sales, business, personal, professional, whatever it is, but if you don't ask that person, the only answer is no. And I was talking to someone last week, and that's what they were touching on is the only answer is no to the question that's not asked. But if you do ask the question, the other potential answer is a yes. Regardless, if you don't ask, you're never going to get a yes, no matter what. So I always tell people, and I always like to hopefully inspire people is in regards to the no quit living concept, which I think fits very hand with go for no, is ask the question, ask the person, go for whatever it is, because worst case scenario, you'll get a no, but if you never ask, you're never going to get a yes.
Exactly. I can't agree with you more.
And then last question, and I promise this one is an easy one. What is the best way for our listeners to connect with you?
That you're right. That is easy. It's goforno.com, goforno.com. We've got videos and blogs and all kinds of stuff people can learn about the go for no concept there.
That was the easiest and quickest response I've ever gotten. So listen, Andrea, I can't thank you enough for your time today. I truly appreciate you sharing not only your go for no story, but your no quit story in regards to being told no and having that really tough no from that large publishing agency, but you went ahead and you kept on going, and obviously you never quit, and here you are today, many years later, from 2003 to now 2017. So listen, I cannot thank you enough for your time. I truly appreciate you, and I look forward to hopefully speaking with you soon.
Absolutely. My pleasure being on.
To sum up today's episode and our theme of the day, passion, Andrea shared some really important things with us. From initially being told she would never sell more than 5,000 copies of her book, now 3 books later, and with over 500,000 copies sold, Andrea didn't let that no stop her. Her passion and belief in what she does with the whole go for no philosophy is very inspiring. We discussed the 3 steps to success. Number 1, decide what you want. Number 2, determine the price you have to pay. And number 3, pay it. If the worst thing you can be told is no, what's stopping you? The question that never gets asked will never be a yes. It will always be a no. So why not you, and why not now? Whatever your goal or objective is, go for it, and go for your greatness.
And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.